A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. I'm Ritwika Gupta, and today we are diving into the dynamic world of beauty. Our spotlight is on a brand that's been creating a buzz across India's makeup industry, Renee Cosmetics. As one of the country's fastest rising makeup brands, Renee believes in encouraging women to embrace their bold and ambitious personalities. Aashka Goradia Goble has been running the brand along with Ashutosh Valani and Priyanksha. Today I'll be shortly joined live by Aashka Goradia Goble, co-founder and CMO Renee Cosmetics, who's going to speak to me on the biggest opportunities for small businesses in India's thriving beauty sector, along with invaluable advice for budding entrepreneurs navigating this highly competitive space. Listen in. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Aashka. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Ritwika. It's nice to be talking to somebody live on camera after a very long time. I think it's been 5 years.
No, I'm sure we'll have a very good conversation. And I want to kick this off by talking about the big picture. India's beauty industry has grown tremendously in the recent years. What trends do you see shaping the future of the makeup industry in India?
I think many trends up until now have helped shape up the makeup industry. I think there has been a tremendous growth in the last 10 years when you talk about beauty or makeup space in itself. But I think the digital influence on the beauty choices, say consumer behavior towards beauty products, but the most of it, I feel, that has really changed everything is rise of personalization. I think people are really now wanting personalized products when it comes to skin, when it comes to makeup, when it comes to just in their entire well-being. Everything needs to be personalized. People are seeing their well-being and how the upkeep of their, physical being in a very different light than they did 10 years ago. And I think all of this is really kind of rising the needs and demands of the consumer when it comes to makeup, I feel.
Aashka, what according to you does the Indian woman want today as far as beauty is concerned? And what role do you believe makeup plays in the lives of the modern Indian woman, especially with changing beauty standards?
Well, India is diverse with so many different cultures, so many different ways of dressing up in different, regions of India. Tier 2, Tier 3 not being fully tapped. And like I said, the rise of personalization. Combining all of this, I think the needs are constantly evolving as to what a woman wants.
Right.
For, when it comes to the makeup. But I think what makeup does to a modern woman and people who really enjoy, using makeup, be it just a simple kajal or be it a full-fledged makeup, I think it really ignites the creativity and confidence. I think it also fosters a very positive self-image. And I feel that makeup is something that kind of really enhances your senses. There was a time when you would dress up for an occasion. Now dressing up in itself is an occasion. So it means something really special for a woman to accentuate her feature that's very, very prominent to her.
So Aashka, tell us a little bit about your inspiration behind Renee. How did the journey start?
The journey started, the business journey started in converting my living room and one of my bedrooms into the office and a little warehouse. But the inspiration came from the whole experience of using makeup for over 2 decades when I started my day putting makeup on. Understanding the experience of the makeup, understanding how big this category is going to become in India.
Sure.
There is so much more in terms of innovation when it comes to makeup, not just the products, but the formulation, but also how you are, giving an experience to your consumer about using that particular product. There was a lot that needed to be done. There was a lot that I wanted to bring on as my own experience to the, to the other women. So that I think my experience is my inspiration, and also that this category is ever evolving.
Fantastic. But take us back to the beginning. You were an actor. So how did you finally realize that you wanted to become an entrepreneur?
I think I always wanted to start a journey for myself. Renee probably not being my first ever business, but one of my most successful ones. Um, Wanting to have the freedom and wanting to constantly test my risk appetite. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And like I said, and like we talked about how the beauty industry is on the rise, I wanted to do something that's known best to me, that's most relevant to me, and a space where I feel I could make a difference.
Now, with Renee's impressive growth in a relatively short time, Aashka, tell us what strategies do you think helped the brand succeed?
I think the most prominent factor was innovation, understanding the consumer need and coming up with a product that suits their needs at the same time suits their pockets, suits the convenience and the comfort of using that product. And that gave birth to Fab 5, that became a very revolutionary makeup product post pandemic. Having 5 lipstick in one stake was probably at that time the need of the hour. People wanted more.
Sure.
People wanted something more affordable. People wanted more choices. And giving people the power of choice really stood out as a strategy for Renee. And I wouldn't just call it a strategy, but would call Renee's core belief that we have to constantly innovate in terms of our products, our formulation, the way we communicate, and the very ease of the product when the consumer uses it.
And now, with social media and beauty influencers becoming a major part of the beauty industry, how has Renee Cosmetics leveraged these platforms to engage with consumers?
I think this is known to all, how social media influences a popularity of any product, be it beauty, be it makeup, be it health, nutrition, anything. Social media has played a very, very important role. And also for a startup like us, and we needed social media as much as any other startup, because our innovation needed to be taken out to the people, in the not only in the way we communicated, but also in how the influencers or how people look at our products. What really worked for us, and this was not something that we intended to leverage, but it really worked because the product had so much innovation around it, is people who were probably not very big accounts or very big influencers, but because they creatively showed the innovation that we had to offer to the consumer. There, the synergy between the influencer and the product became popular in itself. And so that really worked for Renee. We've been very cautious in making sure that how we communicate through the beauty influencers as well.
Okay.
Because, there's fierce competition. There are a lot of products out there. There is a lot of confusion for consumers to choose and pick from. But the influencers kind of play a very important role, is how you're communicating your product to your consumer. And that really has worked very well for us. The synergy has worked very well for us.
Right. And what, according to you, are the major challenges faced by smaller startups or MSMEs in India's beauty industry?
Every beauty startup would have a different challenge, but I think the lack of innovation, the idea and the thought of lack of innovation is something that I think startups need to work on. We can all come up with the same kind of Me Too products, and we can be in that loop of offering our consumers same thing with different packaging. So constant innovation is something that is the need of the hour. Fierce competition amongst the industry in itself, I feel, is a challenge.
Sure.
But I think we're all in the times where we have been able to leverage as a startup what we couldn't 10 years back, when the power of e-commerce, the power of social media, the way you position your communication about your products to people, everything has become more relevant, available to the startups. So I would say there were more challenges 10 years ago, but today I think there are a lot of power tools for startups to kind of make their mark in the industry.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Now, you have transitioned from being a television personality to a successful entrepreneur. What advice would you give to women looking to make bold career shifts?
I mean, my advice might not be relevant to other people, but I feel that the very common ground that really helps you increase your risk appetite to make that career shift is be bored of your comfort zone. Be very quickly bored of your comfort zone. Enjoy it for a little while, process it, and then just be bored. As soon as you're bored out of your comfort zone, you walk out of it, and then there is a whole new learning curve, where you're working towards doing things that you've never done before.
Welcome back. You're watching IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12, talking beauty, women in business and much more tonight with Aashka Goradia Goble, co-founder and CMO Renee Cosmetics. Listen in.
I think I always wanted to start a journey for myself. Renee probably not being my first ever business, but one of my most successful ones. Wanting to have the freedom and wanting to constantly test my risk appetite. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
And now, what opportunities do you see in the Indian beauty space that have not yet been fully tapped by existing beauty brands or, in fact, even global beauty brands?
Still when we talk about makeup, we really talk about the modern woman and, tier one. What I really feel what has not been tapped until now is tier two, tier three, where the adaptations of the narrative still needs to kind of be well welcomed, rather, I would say. However, with tier two, tier three challenges, I think people see makeup over there still very, very differently. Like I said, they would wait for an occasion to get ready. And how do we become an everyday product for tier two, tier three is where I feel that really needs to be tapped in. That today, Kajal has always been, regardless of the diversity, regardless of the region, regardless of the income strata or anywhere, Kajal has been a consistent makeup product, I would say, for every woman. Slowly that is moving on to lipstick. Slowly that is moving on to blush. Slowly that is moving on to compact. Women are now understanding that being fairer or looking other than their skin tone is not really necessary. Accentuating their features is becoming the next big thing. And I think that's where the next tapping is, in educating people as to how to make that soft shift to making a better choice.
Aashka, what do you think Indian businesses need to do to make a significant impact on the global stage? How can they create a strong presence and stand out in international markets?
I think this is the great time. This is really one of the greatest times we are living, where you name the sector, you name anything, and India is on the list. And that is why I say this is one of the greatest times that we are living in, and that we are witnessing, where India is making a very heavy impact on the global stage. I feel not just beauty industry, not just, but like I said, any sector, be it innovation in tech, be it innovation in automobile, be it anything, be it FMCG. India is making its position very, very prominent. I truly believe this is one of the greatest times to be in.
Now, coming back to Renee, I understand Renee Cosmetics is built around empowering women through beauty, and I love that about the brand. Tell us, how do you then ensure this vision is reflected in your products and, in fact, even in your company culture?
I'd draw back to the same answer as innovation. I think when you have that innovation in its position, be it anything, your consumer is feeling empowered. Your half battle is won. You've won halfway through because you are giving them something that is new, that is unique, and that is more personalized.
Yeah.
And that I feel has been one of the strongest drivers for our belief of empowering women.
Aashka, what's your take on the current landscape in India for women in business? Where do we stand today?
I'd again say this is one of the greatest times that we are witnessing for women in business. There are women making significant difference in every sector, not just the beauty industry, but like I said, every sector. Things have really opened up. And I think we have always been that nation that has been progressive for women leading. Our history speaks for itself. So this is only from good times to better times to even better times. We are moving on.
Great.
When it comes to businesses and women-led businesses, I think there are a lot of things that still needs to be tapped in. A few changes kind of still need to come in, and they're also coming in, like funding for women-led businesses, or network position for women-led businesses. These things are still kind of growing, and there is again a significant growth. Times are changing. The way people see women-led businesses are also changing. While I sit here and enjoy and strive to work harder to take Renee to become one of the top beauty brands in the country, I celebrate the opportunities I get along the way. And so I can truly say that times have changed. They have.
Now, you have transitioned from being a television personality to a successful entrepreneur. What advice would you give to women looking to make bold career shifts?
I mean, my advice might not be relevant to other people, but I feel that the very common ground that really helps you increase your risk appetite to make that career shift is be bored of your comfort zone. Be very quickly bored of your comfort zone. Enjoy it for a little while, process it, and then just be bored. As soon as you're bored out of your comfort zone, you walk out of it, and then there is a whole new learning curve where you're working towards doing things that you've never done before.
Yep.
And the joy that brings you and the success that brings you, because you are so focused, because you're doing things that you've never done before, things you are thrown into something unknown, and so you are your best. So I'd say be completely bored of your comfort zone.
And our show is called Leaders of Tomorrow. I also want to ask you, what is your definition of leadership?
Well, I have had many leaders throughout my journey, in what I was doing as my career in the past and also now. But I think a true leader is somebody who creates opportunities, not for just themselves, but for the people that they're working with. I think leadership has many facets to it, but to me, a true leader is genuinely somebody who leads by example.
And finally, what's your vision for Renee going forward? What can we expect from the brand in the near future?
You can expect way more innovation. That's our motto, to kind of come up with products that truly make a difference in women's lives. What my personal goal is, इंडिया की कोई भी लड़की अपना पर्स खोले तो उसमें एक Renee की प्रोडक्ट निकलनी ही चाहिए. That is my goal.
Right.
To make sure that Renee is a part of every woman's life in this country.
Well, it was lovely to have you on the show, Aashka. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, guys. This was a great interaction.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.